Hello, this is Dudley Weaver with another episode of Random Thoughts from Retirement. This one is based upon the 27th Psalm, verses 1 through 6. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and my foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, that will I seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock. Now my head is lifted up above my enemies all around me, and I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. These are dark days, at least for me personally. Grief, I have been told, can come at you like an unexpected wave, knocking you off balance, if not off your feet altogether. I can attest to that. And on top of that, there is an abundance of bad news on the world and national scene. Reduction or elimination of government services that work to relieve human suffering at home and across the world. The Hatchet style elimination of almost 200,000 government employees without any evaluation or audit, the loss of whose knowledge and skill will hamper the work of which many of us depend. The corporate thumbing of the nose to a number of historical allies, and the embrace of despots who exploit their own people and turn their aggression against their neighbors, falsehoods being portrayed as truths, and the national celebration of America First, a blatant contradiction of the moral values of the Christian gospel. These are dark days, but the reading of the 27th Psalm I shared at the beginning of this reflection calls us to hope and confidence, regardless of the depths of the darkness in which we may find ourselves. It assures us that the Lord is my light and my salvation. There is no promise that we will be spared days of grief, darkness, uncertainty, and loss, but we are assured that in them the light of the Lord's presence shines brightly, and the salvation of the Lord's love and grace are always close at hand. We may not always be able to see that, but we know that in the depths of our hearts. When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and my foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rises up against me, yet I will not be, yet I will be confident. This, not because of any power of my own or your own, but through the grace and supreme authority of the Lord, the Creator of earth and heaven and all that there is. How do we know this? No matter how dark and difficult our challenges may be, we know this because the light of God's peace lives within us. One thing I ask of the Lord, that will I seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. That is to say, to live in close communion with God. That takes nourishment, takes effort on our part. That takes leaps of faith. The care of the Lord, especially in our times of need, is like finding sanctuary in the house of the Lord, that is, in the abiding presence of God. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high on a rock, looking down upon those who would assail me. God's got this, we are told. But our calling in times of darkness and uncertainty is not to mere passivity. Rather, because God is with us and God has all things in his hands, we can live as light in the midst of darkness. We can strive for peace and justice while others' lips may be sealed out of fear of retribution. We can love our neighbors, regardless of whom they may be. We can feed the poor, work for the release of the captives, recognize our common humanity, and in our words and deeds share the light of God's love with our neighbors. Now my head is lifted up, says the psalmist, above my enemies all around me, and I will offer to it in his tents sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord.